The first owner of the Steenberg estate in Constantia was a woman called Catharina Ras. She was a particularly rugged and adventurous person, known for her gutsy personality and for riding her horse bareback into town. Catharina Eustace Ras left Germany for Cape Town in 1662, just 10 years after Jan Van Riebeeck, and in order to get on board the ship she had to dress as a man. Unfortunately for Catharina, one of her biggest hardships would be keeping her husbands alive because they kept dying in weird and wonderful ways. When she left Germany at the age of 21, she was already a widow. Her second husband, Hans Ras, was a farmer on the banks of the Lesbiak River. On their wedding night, things already went awry. Catharina and Hans, along with their guests, got into two wagons headed away from the reception back to home. The wagon drivers had been enjoying a few bottles of the Cape wines and were a bit pickled by the time they got behind the reins. They decided to have a race through the narrow roads along the way to Rondebosch. The passengers were forced to hold on for dear life as they careened along small roads. Eventually, the two wagons crashed, and Hans jumped out and got into a confrontation with the two wagon drivers. The wagon drivers didn't really like this, and so they stabbed Hans in the chest. This, however, didn't kill Hans. He died a few years later when a lion attacked him. The legend has it that on hearing about the news, Catharina grabbed a gun, jumped on her horse and went to go hunt the lion. We aren't sure if the lion was related to Cecil, but maybe this was some sort of retroactive karma. I don't know. She then married another man who was a notoriously bad farmer. He would meet his end a year into their marriage after going on a hunting trip into a Khoi chief's territory and never returning. Undeterred by her bad luck with husbands, Catharina married again, this time to a man called Laurens Cornels, who worked as a servant for the man who had stabbed her second husband, Hans, on their wedding night. By this time, Catharina owned a farm, 2 properties and a house in Strand Street. Laurens loved his newfound wealth, but enjoyed even more spending it. Soon they were in financial difficulty. In order to earn money, Laurens decided to go hippo hunting. Unfortunately, he would meet his end on the trip, being trampled to death by an elephant. When Simon van der Stel was made commander of the Cape, he was entrusted with making sure that the settlers became self-sufficient. The gutsy Catharina approached van der Stel, and he convinced him to give her a piece of land in Constantia. This at a time when women didn't own land. She was actually the first woman to officially own land in South Africa. She would turn this land into one of the most prosperous farms in the colony. The farm was called Svaneveder because Catharina thought that she saw swans on the farm. They weren't, they were geese, but the name stuck for a while. She then married her 5th husband, Matthijs McKils, who no doubt had some trepidation about his new marriage considering the fates of his predecessors. Together they were very successful, and by 1692 had planted 800 vines and had 600 sheep and 400 heads of cattle on the farm. Catharina was a success story for van der Stel, and he happily showed her off to visitors to the Cape. Catharina's story is one of both hardship and one of triumph. She was a real frontierswoman who was able to roll up her sleeves and rise against the sexist social order of her time and overcome the difficulty of losing 4 husbands. Today, the restaurant at the Steenberg estate bears Catharina's name, a reminder of the great woman who founded the Steenberg estate.